Hiya, my name's Charlie and welcome to my channel and welcome to today's video. Today's video, as you can tell from the title, is my perimenopause and menopause reading project. So this is a project that I've sort of talked about to you guys in the past about potentially doing, but this is me sort of telling you what I've kind of, the books I've read so far, and then also sort of a TBR for myself. And then also I thought what I'd do is I sort of make this sort of like an open place where everyone can comment and like recommend books to each other. And if you've got any books that you think I should add to my TBR, let me know in the comments if you've read any good ones, or if there's any ones that you want to read and want my opinion on. Before I get started on this, I want to say that if any of you guys are struggling with any of the symptoms, the first obviously books are an essential source of information, 100%, I agree with that, and this is why I'm doing this, to educate myself. But first and foremost, I recommend that if you are struggling with any of these symptoms, that your first port of call should be to go to the doctors, or like your local menopause centre or a nurse, etc., whatever is available to you in your area that you're living in. I definitely think a trained professional is important to get advice from first. So yeah, that's the sort of my disclaimer at the beginning. I'll tell you my story. I'm 41 currently, and I've been, last year in particular, I have had like a few symptoms in terms of irregular periods and things, and hot flushes over the last couple of years. But yeah, last year my symptoms got worse. I went to the doctors and they basically told me that the doctor said to me that it sounds like I'm the beginning of my perimenopause journey. So so it just sort of led me to sort of like want to investigate it. Plus as well, like there isn't hardly like, growing up, obviously like this isn't something that it gets talked about a lot in terms of watching like booktube. I watch a lot of booktube, and not many booktubers, obviously everyone's different ages, there isn't a lot out there in terms of on booktube in terms of the perimenopause and menopause books. So I wanted, like I said, a space where I could do loads of like read loads of books, recommend, like find loads of resources, which any resources I've found I will link in the description, because like I said, I want these videos, I'm going to do like a series of these videos, and I want them to be a space that we can all be there for each other and like etc. So this can be, so these could be either it's because you yourself are experiencing like perimenopause symptoms or menopause symptoms, or if you've got like family members that you want to support, because obviously sometimes we educate ourselves for those purposes. If you've got like anyone in your life that you want to learn, or just if you just want to learn about what's ahead for your own future, there could be a multitude of reasons why you want to know about all these books, why they could be handy for you. So yeah, so the first, before I get into the books, I wanted to say like my criteria to sort of like in terms of like judging these books will be I'm going to have like a set list, so which you guys are welcome, if you can think of any like categories you want to like, you think are important that I should prioritize in terms of assessing and finding out across these books, let me know, like I said. So but one of the main factors is readability. So what I mean by that is how accessible is the language, is it very scientific, etc. That will be something I will be looking at and sort of assessing and telling you guys about. Another bit is how fear-inducing it is. If you're reading a book and it makes you feel extremely anxious and it's sort of doing more harm than good, I want to let you guys know about that, because that's important to me as well, and as I think to other readers. Also, another thing I want to mention to you guys will be if the book has any special features, if it focuses on anything in particular. Then I will do what formats it's available in. Is it available in audiobook, digital and physical? How easy to get hold of it is, obviously, because sometimes like for me, one of my symptoms, I often get bad headaches, and so when that's happening, I often listen to more audiobooks. So that if the book is available in audio book is important to me, and maybe for you guys, there's a format that you prefer to read as well. So I've also want to let you guys know the book length, because again, I feel like not a lot, like obviously we're all busy people, and sometimes if a book's really, really long, it might put some readers off. So I want to let you guys know that. And then another thing I want to tell you guys is what the resource section is like at the back, because obviously, like I said, with these videos, I will be linking as many resources as I can in the descriptions, which, like I said, to check out the descriptions. But for me, it's important that a book has a good resources section. To sort of, that's an important part of where you can go then off and find more help for yourself as well. Yeah, and then obviously I'll give you an overall rating. But yeah, so that's that, and let me know. Let me guys, like I said, know if there are any extra things you want me to add to that list. And then right, so the first thing I'm going to tell you about is a book that I'll only briefly be able to tell you about it, because I might have to, maybe as part of this project, I will re-listen to it, because obviously this is what I'm doing. One of the first books I read in November was Cracking the Menopause While Keeping Yourself Together by Mariella Frostrup, and I think it's by Alice Smellie as well, Smellie. And this was an audiobook. I listened to this. I'll put the image on screen. And I thought it was really, really good. As a first book, an introduction to this topic, I thought it was very accessible. And each time I want to let you guys see what the chapters are like, etc. As I talk to you guys, it will be on screen. I'll take a picture of the contents page of this book, so you guys can know what the chapters are like. But from what I remember, one of the in terms of special features of this book, it has a really good section on LGBTQIA+. There's a good section of it in that it focuses on. And again, I think the language was really super accessible. It didn't feel super fear-inducing to me personally. Obviously there was bits when it's telling you certain things, it does make you feel anxious, but it wasn't high anxiety inducing, I would say. I don't know I can't remember what the resources was, but again, I'll put that, I'll tell you on screen, because I will look at that. Future me editing tutorial will be doing that now for you. So in terms of book length, the book length of Cracking the Menopause is 353 pages. It's available in terms of formats. It's available on e-reader. There is an audiobook available for it, and obviously the physical copy as well. And I think the physical copy is fairly accessible. It seems to be, well, it's on Amazon. And I'm guessing, hopefully, where you guys live, it should be accessible. So yeah, yes. So that's the first one, and I thought that was a really good start. I can't remember a whole load about it because it was a little while ago, and I will, like I said, potentially reread it. But yeah, it was. I remember as I was reading it, finding it super helpful and very accessible, and yeah, so yeah, overall I think it was a really, really good book, and I have since recommended it to a friend, and she also read and loved it. So then I'm going to talk to you about the first book that I read, and then I'll tell you my TBR, which was the first book I read was The Definitive Guide to the Perimenopause and the Menopause by Dr. Louise Newson. Dr. Louise Newson, I think, featured on one of Davina McCall's I think it was one of the Davina McCall obviously created a series of, it was either a TV show or when she was creating her book, and Dr. Louise Newson got involved in that. Dr. Louise Newson is a menopause specialist, and so she wanted to go off and create her own book. I think that's kind of her story, and she's been working for years. So yeah, this was a really, really strong book to read. It was very, very, if you look at it, so I want the physical copy to be able to show you. Yeah, it's really, really well spaced out. In terms of, I will screenshot the contents and I'll read it to you as I'm talking to it. We've got the contents of this book are: what are hormones and why are they so important? Hormone deficiency, perimenopause and menopause, menopause and family history, HRT and everything you need to know, skin and hair and the menopause. That was a really, really good section actually. The skincare section in particular I found really, really useful. it's not really something you really think about in terms of, well, it's not something I've really thought about in terms of the perimenopause and the menopause, because we think about our gynecological health, but obviously there are so many other symptoms that it affects across our whole bodies. Yeah, and having a good skincare routine, I thought that and the tips along that were really useful. Menopause in younger people, so which there's a whole section on the Daisy network, which was for premature ovarian insufficiency. I will link again in the description. I'll put links to the to the Daisy network, because they're like a website and support service for people that have suffered or that are suffering with POI, which is premature ovarian insufficiency. Yeah, this book also, one of the special features of this book, you know, I said I wanted to mention special features, which I think were kind of like this book did really well, was menopause and cancer. And it also goes in specifically in and talks about the menopause and breast cancer. Obviously all these are like potentially could be content warnings for people, so obviously bear that in mind, but you don't have to read that section if you don't want to, but it's really it might be useful for some people, like it, because people don't really, when people are obviously one of the things I was reading about was that it was saying about that these people that were suffering and had their cancer diagnosis, obviously their main focus was to survive the cancer, but then afterwards there was very little to no support about the fact that they would then be going through the menopause and what would happen to their bodies. So that was really interesting, obviously, and it sort of gives support and ideas and help for you if you're sort of, if you need that, or for if you're a family member and you have a family member that would need that information. Unseen and Unheard: Why the Menopause Conversation Must Be More Inclusive. It did have interesting statistics in terms of women of colour often go through menopause statistically earlier than white women. One of the statistics that I read about was the white British women are twice as likely to receive HRT compared to black British and British Asian women, which is just obviously horrific. There's also obviously along those lines, I found out about there's a support group on Instagram called Shades of Menopause, which is a support group which is a menopause group for women of colour, which is being run by Dr. Martina Toby and Dr. Nenika Nwokolo. And so I will link again in the description that support group, because I thought that was I've not heard of that before, and I don't know, it's something that could be very important and useful for obviously some people. Yeah, there's also a brief section on the menopause and the perimenopause and the menopause in the LGBTQ plus communities. Interestingly enough, there's a small section on menopause and HIV. There's also a little section on menopause and FGM, and then menopause in prisons and menopause in domestic abuse. Like this is like, yeah. So there's also a section on why exercise is the best medicine, which is a contribution in there from Joe Wicks, which is obviously the UK's Joe Wicks. Obviously everyone loves Joe Wicks. So yeah, that's that. So yeah, overall a really good book, and actually I think I will probably potentially get myself a physical copy of this to go back to and just sort of reflect back to, because I did think there was a lot of useful information in here. So yeah. The only thing that sort of let this down for me was that the resources section, I feel like could have been maybe a little bit bigger, being honest. But maybe I will find that across the board of these books there aren't big resource sections. I don't know, we shall see. Yeah. Right, now I'm going to talk to you guys about the books that I've got on my TBR for this project, and you guys are welcome to add more books in the comments or tell me your thoughts about books that you've read. So one of the big hitters that I'm a little bit worried about reading, which you guys can tell me whether you want me to or not, because I will read it if I get enough of you telling me you want me to read it and give my own opinion on it. It's Menopausing by Davina McCall. The reason I am put off reading this book is because two of my friends have read this book, and it basically really unsettled them, and both these women, who do not know each other at all, came to me and said to me that this book basically terrified them. I think there's a section in there about obviously it's talking about this. I think the particular thing another one of my friends said that was that it pushes HRT quite heavily, which obviously as far as like the research I've heard about, HRT is a really good thing for your body. So I'm not like, I do not sit on one side of the fence or the other about this, because this is going to be something I'm learning about. But I feel like, yeah, this book in particular sort of like was sort of saying, if you don't take HRT, these are the bad things that will happen to you. I don't know. I feel like that's kind of the vibe that I was hearing about. I could be wrong. I haven't read the book. So if you've read the book and you think it's amazing, or if you've got any thoughts on this, let me know in the comments below, because I can pick it up. But yeah, I am slightly put off reading it for those reasons. But that book is very accessible. So obviously, if that's a book that you can easily get a hold of and you want to read it, go ahead. Right. So I've got 4 more books I want to let you guys know about the books I want to read, I'm interested in reading. One of them's not quite out yet, I believe, but that's the last one. So the first book I want to tell you about, which obviously picture on screen, is The Perimenopause Solution: Take Control of Your Hormones Before They Take Control of You. And this is by Dr. Shazadi, Harper and Emma Bardwell. So yeah, on screen, this is as much as I know about it. I will go into, I don't know which order I'm going to read these in. I guess it depends on which ones I can get hold of the library first, etc. Then the next one on my list, which the lovely Kit the reader put on my radar, thank you Kit, is What's Wrong With Me? 101 Things Midlife Women Need to Know. I think this is quite a new release, and it's by Lorraine Candy. Yeah, this came out in May 2023 this year, so literally just last month. So yeah, I think hopefully I'll be able to quite easily get hold of this one. Yeah, bright pink cover, gorgeous. It's always a good thing. So the next book I've got on my TBR is Everything You Need to Know About the Menopause, but were too afraid to ask, by Kate Muir. This was put onto my radar by the lovely Leanne Rose, so thank you for featuring it. She featured it in one of her videos as one of the books. I think she had it on a TBR potentially, or she hauled it in a book haul, I think. I can't remember which. So yeah, this is one I definitely want to get to. Kate Muir had a little section in this book, so yeah, it would just be really interesting to hear her take and see if she's got any new information or any tips, etc., that would be useful for everyone. The last book that comes out, and that's on my TBR, comes out at the end of June. I think that's the end of the Thursday next week, which is called Unlock Your Menopause Type: A Personalised Guide to Managing Your Menopausal Symptoms and Enhancing Your Health. So, and it's got a gorgeous orange cover. So yeah, that's the last book that I want to read. They all seem like, from what I can tell, like sort of similar lengths. So it will be interesting to see which of these, different things, what new information I get out of these books, if I do get any new information out, etc. So yeah, I hope lots of you guys can come along this journey with me. It is a very scary time, and I feel like, but it doesn't have to be, obviously, and I feel like information is key for all of us, whether it's because it's a family member, like I said, that you want to find out about, or if you're experiencing menopause or perimenopausal symptoms yourself. Yeah, I just want this to be a safe space and us to sort of help each other through this, and it'll be educational for me, and this will be a good series of videos that we can just have a good old natter about it, find out what I've learned, and if you guys have read any new books in that time, you can come back and natter to me about it as well, and tell me your thoughts and tell me any new recommendations. Yeah, we can all get through this together. It is, I feel like more is starting to come out now. It's becoming more of a thing that in our culture that we're beginning to talk about. But yeah, I think I would want to be able to arm my daughter with these tools and teach her the things that I'm learning through this process as well, and also other people in your life to be able to explain what maybe you're going through. You can verbalize it better, or if they like I said. So yeah. Anyway, I hope that these videos will be helpful to you guys. Yeah, sending lots of love to anyone that needs it. My DMs are always open. I'm gonna leave my Instagram link in the description if anyone needs to natter with me. Like I said, I always recommend talking to a healthcare professional first. Take care, and sending you guys lots of love. Goodbye.